Greetings to all of you. We're going to wait just a few minutes. We know that we're just getting started and many of you have been in the waiting room waiting for us to get started. So we're going to wait just a few minutes so that as many of you that need to hear the information can come on. So good afternoon, and thank you for attending the Office of the Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County's training webinar on the new case management system for the Probate Division. I'm Dorothy Brown, and I'm the Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County, and I will serve as your moderator today for the panel discussion segment of the training. The primary purpose of this training and the series of webinars that we are hosting is to introduce the civil case filing community to the new case management system, Odyssey. Although Odyssey was introduced in the county division in 2018, we are close to rolling it out for the entire civil case filing community. We rolled out the criminal portion of the system in November 2019. During this pandemic, we have continued to program the civil areas of law as well as the traffic division. New scheduling functionality for the civil cases, including probate, will be a part of the new case management system. The go-live date for the civil areas and traffic will be announced very shortly. The Clerk of the Circuit Court is responsible for preserving and maintaining all court files and papers, making and keeping a complete record of all proceedings and determinations of all court cases, collecting court fines and fees, and performing other duties as required by law. The Court Operations and Administration section of the Office of the Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County is organized into 5 bureaus and the Civil Appeals Division. 4 of the bureaus are organized by case type. The 5th bureau is the Records Management Bureau, and it actually handles the files for the other 4 bureaus. Today's training focuses on the Probate Division, which is part of the 1st Municipal Probate County Bureau. And it consists of the 1st Municipal Civil and Traffic Divisions, the Probate Division, and the County Division. It's located in the Richard Day Daley Center, 50 West Washington Street, room 1202. The phone number is 312-603-6441. The Honorable Daniel B. Malone is the acting presiding judge. Mr. Sam Williams is the associate clerk for the 1st Municipal Probate and County Bureau for the Office of the Clerk of the Court. Mr. Bess Anally is the Chief Deputy Clerk of the Probate Division, and Ms. Talitha Miller is the Assistant Chief Deputy Clerk of the Probate Division. The Probate Division hears actions concerning the probate and the contest of wills and testamentary instruments, claims against an estate arising in contract, tort, or otherwise, actions and proceedings arising under the Illinois Probate Act of 1975, 755 ILCS Chapter 5, ETSEQ, and the administration of estate of decedents, disabled persons, minors and wards, and petitions pursuant to the Illinois Insurance Code. The Probate Division also hears actions and proceedings concerning contracts to make a will, constructions of wills, the appointment of testamentary trustees during the period of administration, and the appointment of receivers pursuant to Supreme Court Rule 776. Other matters the Probate Division hears are guardianship of estate, guardianships of minor persons, guardianship of minors' estates, guardianship of person, intestate, settlement of cause of action in a minor estate, structured settlement sale approvals, and testate. Probate Division case file content generally includes appearances, court orders, affidavits, certificates, motions, orders, transcripts, petitions, applications, and notices. The type of cases maintained within the probate divisions are wills of deceased, estates of deceased, estates of disabled adults, estates of minors and wards of the state, guardianship of minors, and guardianship of disabled adults. The case files date back to 1871 up to the present. We have some wills that date from 1850. Courts. The courts have been for probate previously were the county court, and that was from 1871 to 1880. The probate court, 1880 to 1964, and then it became the probate division in 1964 to present. Available indexes. Probate deceased indexes, they're on microfilm from 1871 to 1967. Minor indexes from microfilmed 1871 to 1976. And competence indexes, microfilmed from 1911 to 1976. Will indexes that are microfilmed go from 1850 to 1976. There were docket books in the probate division, even when I took office, but those docket books go all the way back to 1871 to present, and the majority are stored off-site. And we actually implemented the probate electronic case management system during my first year of service in 2001. Images and document management systems technology was implemented in the probate division in January of 2011. The IDMS functions as a central repository of image scan court documents. Once scanned, a document can be retrieved using the clerk's office's electronic docket. And with a click on the screen, an image of the court document can be viewed. The IDMS technology greatly enhanced the efficiency of the clerk's office's day-to-day operations and is a substantial benefit to clerk's office customers who are able to view the scanned court documents via digital access terminals throughout the clerk's office. Now I would like to tell you about the CLE for this webinar. You will receive 1 hour of CLE credit if you are an attorney. If you attend the entire training session, the time length of the attendance will be verified through our Zoom report. More information about how to receive your CLE certificate will be provided to you at the end of this section. Now I'd like for us to go to our PowerPoint presentation so that we can begin our seminar. On our agenda for today, which is on slide 2, you will see that I have with me today our Executive Clerk for Court Operations and Administration, Ms. Renee Banks. Ms. Banks, will you say some remarks? Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Good afternoon, and I'm very happy to have so many attendees join us for the Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County's training webinar on the new case management system for probate division. In my role as Executive Clerk of Court Operations and Administrations, I have had the pleasure of being closely involved in the ongoing implementation of the new Odyssey Case Management System for both the criminal and civil areas. I see firsthand the significant upgrades that are being made to our business processes and a great improvement taking place in our ability to best serve the users of the clerk's office in all the areas of law. The many members of the clerk's office court operations staff have been working diligently in the process of converting to this new technology, especially our senior and management staff. We greatly appreciate all of the effort that they have committed to ensuring the success of this major innovation. At this time, I am proud to introduce one of my direct reports, Mr. Sam Williams, the Associate Clerk of the First Municipal Probate County Bureau. Sam, who has worked with the Clerk's Office for 26 years, will share with you the goals and objectives of today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Renee. Appreciate it. Thank you for the introduction. Appreciate it. And well, good afternoon, everyone. Again, I am Sam Williams, the Associate Clerk of the First Municipal Bureau. And I am eager to share with you all, the attendees, the goals and objectives for today. So today's webinar on the new case management system for Probate Division. I can hear the applause everywhere, right? So overall, today's webinar provides a step-by-step preview of the processes involved in scheduling new cases, right, and motions in the probate division when e-filing in the upcoming new case management system. So this webinar also includes an important segment on how the public may access civil case data via the clerk's office website and on the digital access terminals that are available in the public use for all of the clerk's office locations. Also included in this training is information on the new Supreme Court rules on electronic notification of case management notices. The two rules were amended on July 15th, 2020, which means that they are effective immediately. So the objectives of today's webinar will be expressed through our panelists, and we have some great panelists here today. Separate presentations that will cover the clerk's office's legacy docketing system. So of course, if you want to know what the legacy system, what we mean by legacy, that means the old system, if you want to call it that, or it's the system that has been in place for quite some time, right? So our initiative to install an integrated case management system, the Odyssey system, the specific scheduling processes, assessing civil case information, and more. Our question and answer segment, and I know you're all probably going to be asking questions all throughout this anyway, and we'll probably be making sure that we answer those throughout this. But our question and answer segment is also part of our objective to get your feedback on these changes. We really do like that, and we really do need it. So thank you. So our goal is to provide a comprehensive presentation that will serve to enhance court users' understanding of the innovations that are coming to the probate division through the new case management system. So again, thank you again for joining us today. Clerk Brown will now introduce our illustrious panel for discussion.
Thank you, Sam. And Ms. Banks indicated how long Mr. Williams has been with the clerk's office, but I'd also like to say that Ms. Banks has also been with the clerk's office for 35 years. So we have some individuals that are really experts in the office of the clerk of the circuit court. The next thing I would like to do, and as Sam indicated, you can feel free to put your questions in the question and answer section, and we will, many of the panelists will answer those questions as we're going along. You do not have to wait to the end for the question and answer segment. But we have a gentleman here who has really spent a lot of time with the office of the clerk of the circuit court. He was with me from the very beginning. He took a little sabbatical, and then he came back in 2018, I believe. And Mr. Craig Wimberly knows the history of the clerk's office. He's going to give you a historical perspective of the clerk's office technology. Mr. Craig Wimberly.
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Attending attorneys and fellow panelists. Clerk Brown established 5 strategic pillars to drive transformation of the clerk's office, the courts, and our support for our justice partners, other public sector agencies, attorneys, pro se litigants, and the public in general. Of those 5 strategic pillars, one was 21st century, one is 21st century technology. In other words, to use technology to pull the office out of the dark ages into the 21st century. But just as importantly, to leverage technology to make progress in all other strategic areas. Improved customer service, increased efficiency of our operations, establishing good financial accountability, and training and development of our staff from the entry-level clerk to the highest levels of senior management. So I'm going to walk through a few of the technology initiatives that has indeed transformed our office. Technical infrastructure. We early on wanted to move our office. We want to improve communications and the sharing of information beyond the telephone, faxes, and interoffice mail trucked between our offices. And so we connected all of our offices in all of our courthouses, including the branch courts, including child support, including 26 and Cal's bond room, with high-speed telecommunications via the county's wide area network. We then deployed email to all 2,300 employees. We documented every process in the clerk's office, from the counter to the courtroom, and then deployed those processes on our intranet so that all of our employees had access to every process in the office. We began to normalize these processes across all of our areas so that the service you got in the Daily Center was the same as the service you got in District 6 Markham. Automating courts. As the clerk indicated, there were 2 divisions of the court that were still entering court orders in dusty old docket books. One was probate and one was county division. For probate, we used one of our old legacy systems as a template for automating that area of the court. For county division, we actually tried to pilot the use of a more robust case management solution. Financial control, security, and integration. We then went forward with a $5 million effort to put a financial front end at the point where filings come into the office, and that front end was put across all of our multiple legacy systems. So again, there was consistency in how you interacted with our office at the cash registers. Additionally, though, we tied security to that financial system. If there was an issue with one transaction within cashiering, that we could bring up the security connected to that specific transaction to track what had occurred. So again, we were focused on improving our financial controls and establishing financial accountability. Records management. We implemented a state-of-the-art record management system so that we could track our case files for wherever they were in the process, be the file in the courtroom, a judge's chambers, on an active file within one of our divisions, or out at the record center in our inactive files. In fact, we could track a case file if it was in transit from District 1 down over to District 2. Integrated criminal justice information systems. Now, I know most of you probably deal with the civil side of the house, but this initiative I'm quite proud of, in that Clerk Brown was ahead of many within the nation in proposing that the state and Cook County move forward with the concept we call integrated criminal justice. What that is complete, accurate, timely, and accessible criminal information and criminal history to every stakeholder in the process. The officer on the beat, the adjudicating judge on the bench, prosecuting attorney, defense, wherever you are in the justice process, you need to have accurate and timely information. Clerk Brown approached the county and convinced them that this was an initiative that we needed to follow to improve the accuracy of our criminal information. And we went forward with developing a strategic plan for integrated criminal justice. Following that, as the clerk indicated before, we went forward with an imaging and document management solution to reduce the handling of our paper files. In some courts, they no longer use the files. They look at images on their PCs. It also provided access to images to the public at our digital access terminals. Following that, and not following that, but all along that process, we also found ways to provide access to case information and your next court date in various ways. Via our website, of course, public access, but also via a mobile app and e-notify solutions. We continued to think of ways to better serve our customers via the use of technology. At that time, we also Clerk Brown approached the Administrative Office of Illinois Courts to ask if we could pilot electronic e-filing. And so we went forward with a pilot of e-filing. Prior to the Illinois State Supreme Court mandating e-filing. And when they did mandate that, we went live with mandated e-filing across all civil areas of the court in July of 2018. So that brings us to really what is the culmination of our technology strategy. And that is the replacement of our multiple disparate legacy docketing systems. Now, why replace them? They've served us well. They're highly customized, but 40-year-old technology, very old database structure that doesn't allow you to manipulate data. They're old green screen, which means that they're not user-friendly for both our customers and for our clerks. For these reasons and more, we decided to replace these legacy systems with a state-of-the-art, integrated, enterprise-wide case management solution. To do that, in 2016, we issued a request for proposal, receiving a large number of responses. We went through an exhaustive process in selecting the right solution that could handle all areas of the court, all areas of law, and could handle the complexity and the volume of cases in the second largest unified court system in the nation. In 2017, we completed a contract for $36 million that acquired the software, the configuration and implementation of that software, and all of the hardware that supports the system. And that project went forward starting in roughly April of 2017. And in February of 2018, we went live with the pilot area, which was County Division. Following that, we worked on criminal areas of law, adult and juvenile, and we implemented criminal and juvenile in case management system in November of 2019. And that brings us up to date and the implementation of our Probate Case Management System. Clerk Brown, I think we will have an articulation of the benefits of this new case management system.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig, so very much for that historical perspective. Just for information of the attendees, this is an orientation of the entire case management system, including scheduling. So you know that this is not just the scheduling of in the probate division, but this is everything that's going to change as it relates to a new case management system. And so next we have from Tyler Technologies a representative who will speak to you about the Odyssey Case Management System for the probate division. Mr. Christian Font will talk to you about the Odyssey Case Management System and all the benefits that you and the other court users will enjoy. Mr. Christian Font, please.
Thank you, Clerk Brown. So yeah, definitely Cook County is entering an exciting phase in the ongoing enhancement of its business operation. While the implementation of Odyssey Case Management System in Cook County, Clerk Brown is helping, like Craig mentioned, to bring the clerk's office into the 21st century. The efficiencies and optimized functionalities of the Odyssey Case Management System will greatly benefit the clerk's office staff in their daily tasks, court users and their interactions with the court system, and then the citizens of Cook Counties in access to justice like you guys here on this webinar today. So what is Odyssey? Odyssey is a suite of software products that support courts and justice systems. Our flagship offering of the suite is called Odyssey Case Manager, and that's a product that automates and coordinates court cases throughout the legal process from the time that the case is filed to the disposition. Odyssey Case Manager was introduced in 2002 and is now in 31 states, 16 of those which are statewide implementations, and we serve over 1,000 counties and 16 of the largest 20 counties in the US. So what is File and Serve? File and Serve, you guys may know this already. You guys know it as eFile Illinois. It's a state-of-the-art platform for the electronic filing of case documents, creating paperless processes for courts, the public, and the legal community. So how is Odyssey used in Illinois? Odyssey right now is being successfully used in Illinois judicial courts in Kane, Peoria, Tazewell, and Cook. Tyler is implementing Odyssey Case Manager in the office of the Clerk of the Circuit Court in Cook County, as Craig mentioned, in 4 different stages. We have County Division, which went live already, Criminal and Juvenile, which went live. Now we're going live with Civil, Chancery, Law, Probate, Domestic Relations, and Child Support. And the final phase of the project is going to be the Traffic Division. Cook County will use a couple of our products. Actually, they're going to be using Odyssey Case Manager. The clerks in the courtrooms will be using Clerk Edition. The judges on their bench will be using Judge Edition, and as well as Tyler's File and Serve, which is the solution that powers our e-filing platform, eFile Illinois. So some of the benefits of Odyssey. It increases access to justice by allowing attorneys and self-represented litigants to file cases online at their own convenience. It expedites processing of cases and files and increases data transparency. It automates courtroom tasks by enabling clerks to rapidly access and enter critical data directly inside the courtroom. It allows judges, their staff, the clerk's office, to easily generate hundreds of report types using standardized and customized templates. It gives judges immediate, secure, and critical case information using a touch screen right from their bench. It provides both high-level and detailed views. It allows the court staff, law enforcement agencies, and other partners to easily access case file data on multiple parties, cases, and charges. It reduces the data entry duplication and errors by submitting data directly into Odyssey. It eliminates much of the need for paper in the courtroom. It also enables the capturing of electronic signatures on court documents, and it costs much less to maintain than the outdated legacy systems that Craig alluded to, and reduces storage costs for paper files. And lastly, it also integrates easily with other Tyler software. So this enables a common interface that simplifies and reduces the duration of training for users while streamlining IT processes. One of those examples of streamlining the IT process has been very useful during this pandemic is the ability to reschedule hearings en masse. It's based on judicial general orders. Currently, it takes programmers weeks to schedule hearings, and for county division, criminal, and juvenile, which are live in Odyssey, it's taken less than 30 minutes. So after 38 years of relying on traditional mainframe technology, Clerk Brown is bringing the Cook County Clerk of the Circuit Court into the 21st century with our state-of-the-art web-based solution. With county, criminal, and juvenile courts implementations now complete, Tyler looks forward to working with Clerk Brown to complete the implementation of the remaining Cook County courts to make Clerk Brown's vision a reality. Clerk Brown?
Thank you, Christian, so very much. And thank you, Mr. Wimberly, for your presentation as well. And so now we want to get started with the meat of our presentation. And it's going to talk about the scheduling of new cases as well as motions. And so I'm introducing our project manager. Now, you all may know her as the Civil Appeals Chief Deputy Clerk, but she has been just phenomenal in managing the scheduling portion of this new system. So our project manager for scheduling, Ms. Sue Wellfell, will walk you through how scheduling will take place from a new case standpoint, as well as when you file a motion. And I notice a lot of you have been asking those kind of questions in your question, in the question section. Sue?
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Good afternoon, everybody. So we're going to go through both new case scheduling and motion scheduling with our new CMS system for the Probate Division. We're going to begin with new case scheduling. For the Probate Division, I'm happy to inform that you would no longer have to create a subsequent filing to schedule your case management date or opening date as a motion. The system is now going to auto-generate a case management date for the new cases in the Probate Division. Once your case is accepted, the system will, and the system generates this case management date, it will be printed on the face of your accepted documents, which we'll see at the end of this demonstration. The actual functionality of filing a new case, however, is not going to change. But for those of you that may not be familiar with e-filing a case in probate, we're going to go through those steps right now. So the first thing you're going to see when you click on starting a new case is you're going to pick your location. So in this case, you would pick Cook County, Probate District 1, Chicago, as you see here in the upper left corner of the first screenshot here on this slide. Once you select that location, you're going to have a number of categories in the category dropdown. And I'm going to ask that the Chief Deputy Clerk of the Probate Division, Bestinelli, to explain the categories and the case types within those categories to you right now. Best?
Right. Yes. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Clerk Brown. So everybody knows initially that's the beginning of your filing your cases. When we were doing conventionally, you used to do it by cover sheet. It will replace the cover sheet. For example, if you're looking to get a letters of office for a decedent case, and you know with the decedent case, it doesn't matter whether it is with a will or without a will, you click on the deceased one. So it doesn't matter, will or without a will, that's where you start. You click on the deceased. And this is when you're looking to get a letters of office in order to appoint an executor for that person to oversee the execution of a deceased person assets. So that's where you go. And the next where we go is for disabled. This is when you're trying to get a legal authority for somebody to care for a loved one, for a loved one who is 18 years of older. It doesn't matter what the disabled thing is, whether it's a disabled of a person, disabled of a state, or you're doing a combination of a disabled of a person and a state. So as long as it's the adult, you click a disabled of an adult. It's the same thing as we were doing when you were doing it on conventional side. So that's where then from there, whoever the judge authorizes to be the person to care for the adult relation or adult person. And then from there, from there we can issue the letters of office, giving that person the authority to take care of the adult as you ask for. So the next one is the elder law action. In the elder law action, That's where you're going to choose in case if you're trying to file for elder abuse, you click on there, the elder abuse, whether you're doing it for administrative review, petition for registration of the foreign judgment, or foreign transcript. That's where you click, that's the category of it. You click on there, the same way that we have it on our cover sheet. If you're doing for minor cases, so it does a minor case, a minor that is under 18. So whether you're doing a minor of a person, a minor of a state, or a combination of a minor of a state and the person, that's where you click. So there is something else that didn't come up there that we have on our cover sheet. If you're going to do transfer of settlement or structure settlement, that's the same place whereby you click and then select on it. So from there, once you select it, so like I said earlier, the next thing you go in is for the case type. So that is where you will select, for example, if you're doing a decedent case, from the case type, then you will select on the case type to show if you will select if it is a will or without a will. But just to select them, you go into the select specific one, will, or you selecting to get a letter of administration without a will, or you selecting to do for a person or a state. That's specifically where you select it from.
Thank you, Best. So once again, based on, as Best just mentioned, based on what category you select here, you're going to select the corresponding case type that he mentioned is listed within each of those categories. Once you've selected these three filled these three drop-down boxes with your selections, you're going to click on the Save Changes, and it's going to take you to the next section of your e-filing. The next section is the case cross-reference number. This is where you're going to type in your 5-digit Cook County Attorney Code in the case cross-reference number box that you see here, again, in the upper screenshot on the left-hand side. You would type in that 5-digit case cross-reference number. If you're a self-represented attorney, you would select the 99500. You would then move over to the middle of this box where it says case cross-reference type, hit the drop-down arrow, and you would select Cook County Attorney Self-Represented Litigant Code. And then finally, you would click the Add Case Cross-Reference Number on the right side of this box, and then you'll see that the information you just typed and selected will drop down beneath the black line as you see in the second screenshot on the lower portion of this slide. Again, you would click the blue Save Changes to save this section of your filing. We'll then move you down to the next section. I'm sorry, for some case types in Probate Division, there is going to be a second option here in the case cross-reference number. And once again, I'm going to ask Bess to explain that to you.
Right. The important to know here is when you file in a decedent case that has a will, it's very important for you to make sure you fill in the will file date. The reason being that because with the will file date, once your case is up for hearing, so that's how we will know, tie up the will file date with the case number so that we know what courtroom to take it to. And then the hearing, once you file to get the court date, it will tie to remind us in the system that the case is coming up on specific dates. And this is where the will is going tied up to the case and where you take the will to. So it is important when you file to please make sure you put in the will file date. And again, remember, before you file a decedent case with a will, you must surely file the will first before you file the case. Because if you don't do that, then you will not know what the will file date is. Because it is necessary for you to fill it out when you come into this place. It's very important so that we know where to take your will, to take the will to the courtroom and the date of the hearing.
Thank you, Best. So again, you would put the date in the case cross-reference number. You would select your will file date the same way you selected your attorney code, and you would click the Add Case Cross-Reference Number to have that date again appear below the black line before you hit Save Changes in this section. The next section in your filing is going to be your party information. For probate, you're going to be entering the estate name. You see here, any fields that are outlined in red are mandatory fields. So once more time, I'm going to ask Bess to explain to you when date of birth and date of death may be mandatory for your filing.
If you file in a decedent case, you must enter the date of death. The reason you enter the date of death, once the order is given for us to generate the letters of office, we must have the date of death to put on there. And then if you file in a disabled case, whether minor or adult, you must put the date of birth, because with the date of birth, that will route it to the right calendar and the right room. Because if you don't put the date of birth, it will not route it if it is an adult case or a minor case. Because as you know, if it is a minor, especially if you have a minor of a person or a minor of a state, it goes into a different courtroom. Because you know that is always a challenge if you don't put that. Instead of going into a minor estate courtroom, it goes into a minor estate of a person. It's always very difficult for us to go back into the system to change it. Please, please, it's very important for you to put in the date of birth for disabled case and then the date of death for a decedent case. Without will or without a will, you must have to put in the date of death.
Thank you, Best. So once again, the red boxes, outline boxes, are mandatory. If your party is a business or an agency, at the very top of this section, you see a box that says party is a business or agency. If you click that, it would make these 3 fields into 1 field to put in that business or agency name. And again, while there are mandatory fields, we do ask that you fill out as much of this information as you have when you are filing your new case. And in the next screen, we would show you that if you fill out a discretionary field, some of the other fields may become mandatory. For example, here, address was not mandatory, but if you begin filling an address, then the rest of the address fields will become mandatory. So if you put in a line 1 address, you're going to have to put in a city, state, and zip code. So while they may not be mandatory to start, as you enter some fields, other fields may become mandatory at that time. So once you finish your party information and you save your changes in that section, you'll be brought to the filing section. We ask that you may have multiple things you're going to file in this new case. We ask that the first thing you file, however, is your complaint or petition. So you want to select the filing code that starts with the words complaint or petition. You see here we have it highlighted, complaint, petition, summary administration without will for our example for you here today. Once you select that filing code, the next 4 boxes are optional. If we go to the next slide, you'll see that the filing description, client reference number, comments to court, and courtesy copy. That's if you need to fill out that information for your own purposes, or if courtesy copy, if you'd like to send a copy of this to an email address, you would put that email address in that field. But those are not mandatory fields for e-filing. The next mandatory section will be the lead document. So you see here it does say required, and then underneath you'll see computer with an up arrow. You would click on that up arrow. It's going to bring you to a browse box to browse to the location on your computer where that document is located. Once you upload the document, where you see the cloud here on the right, you're going to see a box that says security, and you're going to select non-confidential or confidential. You will always be selecting non-confidential unless you've previously received an order from a judge to file something under seal. Then you can select confidential and also upload that order that you received in order to file that document under seal. So once you've uploaded your document and selected your security, the last possibility here in the filing section will be to add optional services or fees. You see here on the right-hand side a list of all of the optional services and fees that are available to you with a probate filing. If you needed to select any of these, this is where you would do that. You would click on Add Optional Services and Fees, and in the drop-down for optional services at the bottom of the screen here, you would select from the list. Once you've selected your optional services or fees, or if you don't have any, you'll then click Save Changes to accept this complaint or petition filing. You may have additional, as we stated, you may have additional filings that you're going to make along with your complaint in this new case. In the picture in the top, the screenshot in the top of this slide, you see on the right-hand side where it says add another filing. So in order to add a second filing or another document, you would click on add another filing, and it's going to take you back up to the filing code section that we previously saw when we uploaded our complaint. On the right-hand side here is a list of all the possible additional filings you can make at the same time as your complaint or petition. An affidavit, a summons, exhibits, certificate of service. You would just follow the same steps where you would select your filing code, you would click lead document and upload the document that you're attaching, and select your security and save changes. You can repeat that process for as many additional documents as you're trying to include with your initial petition or complaint. Once you finished uploading all of your documents, you will now, and hitting Save Changes for each upload, you will now be in the Fees section. This will show you a summary of all of the filing fees for this particular new case and any additional optional services and fees that you added. You're going to select your payment account and the party responsible for fees, which is also how it's going to write to our docket is who you are filing this case on behalf of. And then you're going to click Save Changes in this section as well. Then you're going to click at the bottom of our screen here, you're going to click the submission agreements. And then at this point in time, you have two options. If you're not quite ready to make this filing and submit it to the court, you're going to click Save as Draft, and you could resume it from your draft folder at a later time. But if you are ready to complete this and file it with the court, you're going to click Summary. Once you click Summary, it's going to take you to a summary review page. This is where you can review all of the options that we just discussed that you made in each of the sections of your envelope. If you need to go back and change anything, if something isn't what you meant to select, you would click back at the bottom of your screen and it will take you back into each of those fields where you could change anything that you may have selected incorrectly. If everything here looks good and you're ready to proceed and file this with the court, you would click Submit. Once you click Submit, as you get today, you'll see that request hearing box that does come up at the end of every filing, whether it's a new case or a subsequent filing. In this case, you're going to select Do Not Schedule as you do today. However, as we stated at the beginning of this section, the system is now going to generate a case management date for your new case. And that date is going to appear, as you see here in the test petition image in the lower right-hand corner of this slide. You see where it's showing the case number, the calendar, and the hearing date and time that the system generated for this particular case. That's going to come back to you once we accept the case and you receive your file stamp documents back in your email. So that concludes all of the steps for new case scheduling for the probate division. We are now going to talk about motion scheduling. So again, when you file into an existing case to file a motion, you're going to select a location as we did with our new case. So in this case, Cook County Probate, District 1, Chicago. And then you're going to input the case number that you're filing this motion into. You're going to use all 4-digit century, the single alpha P for probate, followed by 6 numeric. So if your case number was 20P13, you would type in 2020P, 4 leading zeros, and then 13 to make 6 positions after the alpha. You don't want to put in any spaces or dashes. You just want to run it all together like you see here on this slide. And then you're going to click Search. Once you click Search, your case should come back to you as you see here. You want to verify that the description shows the correct party for the case you are trying to file into, and that that is the correct case number. If it's not, you would click back to Search, and you could try another search case number. But if this is the correct case that you're trying to file into, on the far right side of the slide, you're going to select Actions, and then File into Case. Once you select that, it's going to bring you once again to the case cross-reference number, where again, you're going to type in your 5-digit attorney code or 99500 if you are a self-represented litigant. You're again going to select your Cook County Attorney Self-Represented Litigant code as your type, and you're going to click the Add Case Cross-Reference number on the right-hand side. For those of you that are familiar with scheduling motions today, I would like to point out that the motion types are no longer going to be selected here in the case cross-reference section. They are now going to be selected in the filing section, which we're going to see next. So once you select your attorney code, even though you're trying to schedule a motion, you're just going to click Save Changes and move on to the filing section. This filing section is now the most important part for scheduling a motion. So as you do today, you're going to select a filing code in the filing code dropdown. And as long as it's a motion-related filing code, you're going to see a motion type box appear. So if you see here in the top screenshot, there is no motion type between filing type and filing description. But in the screenshot in the lower, once we selected motion filed as our filing code, you see that there is a motion type box that appears right underneath. And that's now where you're going to select your motion type that you previously had selected in the case cross-reference section. So you'll see on the next screen, we click on that drop-down box, and then there we have our list of motion types that will be the same motion types that you're familiar with today. They're just in a new location. So you're going to select your motion type. In this case, we're selecting motion hearing. And then this is a list again of the motion types that will be available to you in that motion type drop-down box. So once you select your motion type, just like we did in our new case, we're going to upload our lead document and select our security, which you see here, we uploaded a motion and we selected non-confidential as our security. And then we're going to save changes in this section. Once again, we will be brought to the payment section of our filing. Again, you're going to select your payment account and your party responsible for fees. And you're going to save changes. And once again, if you're ready to submit this motion to the court, you're going to click on summary, and it's going to take you to a summary review. So some of you may or may not review then the summary page. You may just go down and automatically hit submit, but I am going to urge that you do check your motion type in your filing section. So when you get to the summary review section, it is collapsed and all you see is the wording of your filing code. So here you see the words motion filed. So if you click on those words motion filed, it's going to expand that filing section, as you'll see in the next slide. So when you click on it, it's going to show you all of the selections that you made, including the document that you uploaded for this motion. So you just want to verify that, number one, you picked a motion type, and number two, it is the correct motion type for the motion that you're trying to file. If for some reason that is not the correct motion type, or you do not see a motion type there, at the very bottom of the screen, you see where you have the word back or submit. You want to click back and go back into that filing section and select a valid motion type for the type of motion that you're trying to schedule. If you do see your motion type here and it is correct, you're going to click submit. And then just as you do today when scheduling a motion, you're going to see this request hearing date box after you hit submit. When you click the select a hearing date dropdown, you'll have dates to choose from. And then once you select a date, you will have one or more times to choose from in the select a hearing time, depending on the motion type that you selected in the filing section. Once you've selected your hearing date and time, you're going to click save to submit that date to the court. And again, just like with your new case, you're going to receive a file stamped copy of your document back that will contain the motion date and time that you selected. So one final change to scheduling in the probate division is the scheduling of a petition to discharge or remove a guardian in a minor case. In the very next screen, you'll see that if you select the filing code petition to discharge or remove guardian on a minor case, the system is going to auto-generate a 35 to 45 day date for you for this motion type.
That's one.
And again, you will not be choosing that date in the request a hearing box. It will be generated by the system. However, if you see in the lower right-hand corner in our test petition, it will have the hearing date and time stamped on your document that is returned to you once your filing is accepted. So I would like to summarize the changes. For new case scheduling, the system will now auto-generate a case management date for all new cases. This date and time will be stamped on the face of your accepted documents. So you won't have to create a second subsequent filing to schedule your case management date as a motion after you've filed your new case. Second change is that while scheduling a motion will function the same as it does today, the location of the motion type selection has moved. It is no longer going to be in the case cross-reference section. It is now going to be in the filing section as we showed you. And then the final change is the minor discharge motions. The petition to discharge or remove a guardian will automatically generate a 35 to 45 day date for this motion to be heard, and that date will be stamped on the document that is returned to you after we accept your filing. I'm going to return it to Clerk Brown now.
Thank you, Sue, and thank you for that presentation, and also thank you, Bess. I see that there are a lot of questions that are in the Q&A section related to many of the things that you've talked about. Next, we want you to know about the changes that will take place as it relates to how you will access the data, both on our website as well as on our public access terminal in the clerk's office. We're going to have a young lady that actually is the person that is championed many of the changes on our website. She's our webmaster, as well as our chief deputy clerk for all of our web and public access type of data. And her name is Miss Lisa Dardell, and she's going to present to you at this time. Miss Lisa Dardell.
Thank you, Clerk Brown, and good afternoon. So I'm excited to tell you about the way that you'll be searching for probate case data and how it's going to be changed on our public website as well as our in-house digital access kiosk. So from our public website, as shown on the image in the upper left corner of your screen, as you do today, you'll click on any available link to our case search, such as the action item highlighted here in the top banner. Now, this will redirect your browser to the case search landing page shown in the bottom left image there. And then when you click on probate or any of the other civil case type links, you'll be redirected to our new CCC portal application. Here you'll be able to click on Smart Search to begin your case search. Now you'll see on the next slide that this will also be the same for our in-house digital access kiosk, shown here in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. When you click on Search for Civil Case links, you will be redirected again to our CCC portal application. And once again, when you get here, you'll click on the Smart Search to begin your case search. Now, after clicking on Smart Search from the dashboard of the CCC portal page, you'll be able to perform global searches across all divisions and case types. Now, what this means is that if you search for a party by name, your search results will include results from probate, law, chancery, civil, domestic relations, and county, as well as criminal. Yes, you heard me right. An exciting feature for this new search site is when the system goes live, users will be able to access criminal case data through our public website without having to come into our offices. Now, the global search feature is really great because you no longer have to know what division the case is being heard in, to be able to search for it, or be restricted to look just within one division at a time. Now, the basic search will allow you to search by either case number or name. And to aid in successfully searching for your case, the system allows for wildcard searching. Now, wildcards can be used in assisting in finding your search results by using an asterisk to represent one or more of the characters in the last or the first name. This wildcard functionality can also be used when searching by case numbers with some limitations. Now, for our attorneys who currently have logins to access elevated criminal case information through our private attorney portal access, civil case information will automatically be included within your search abilities. Now, it's worth noting that your elevated access provides you more information than, say, a public anonymous access will for both criminal and civil information. Now, we can go to the next slide because results are limited to the top 200 matches. So therefore, it may be necessary when searching using common names to filter your searches in order to narrow the results. Now, this is called an advanced search. And when you click on the link, Advanced Search Filters, as shown highlighted in the top, the additional filter options will be displayed. Now, one of these filters is by location. So this is used to filter your searches by including a location, which is the division name, as opposed to, as I mentioned before, searching across all divisions as a global search. The different options for this location filter will be displayed in a drop down as shown in the upper right-hand image. Now, another method for fine-tuning your search is by selecting a different search type. Now, as I mentioned before, the Smart Search allows you to search by case number or name. However, the Filter by Search option, as you see here, will allow you to search by other values such as ARDC number, attorney name, business name, alias, party name, and many more. These two filters can be combined to provide a more narrowed down search results. Now, if you go to the next slide, you'll see that another feature of the CCC portal search is the ability to use a SoundX type search by checking the sound like option box here. Now, with any tool that searches on names, many common surnames come in a variety of spellings. Many of these variations are the results of data entry, cultural differences in spelling, transliteration errors. In any case, looking for an exact name will often result in not finding the name being sought. By checking this option in the advanced search, your results will include all names that sound like the name being searched for. Like, there are so many instances where attorneys and even self-represented litigants come in and they don't know the proper spelling of the party name. The sound like option will allow the person to find the name they are seeking based on standard SoundX matching rules. Now, in the next slide, we'll see that the results of a search, when you perform one, will be displayed. It'll display like the matching records with some brief information about the case. So all you have to do to view details of the case is to click on the case number. Now, once you do that, and we'll show that in the next slide, a new browser tab will be opened with the detailed information about the selected case. Now, opening this information in a new tab is a really nice benefit because you can go back to the original search results tab and select a different case. So if you're wanting to view, say, multiple cases, details at one time, this will allow you to be able to toggle between your different browser tabs to be able to view those two different cases. Now, detailed information about the case will include case summary, general case information such as status of the case and case type. It'll include assignment information. And if we look at the next screen, it will include party information and their attorney information. And it includes events and orders or activities of the case in reverse chronological order. Now, this will allow you to view the most recent activity of the case at the top of the list. Now, one last feature that I think you'll find a nice benefit is that this page will allow you to view all activities on a single screen. And it will allow you to generate a well-structured PDF document of all the detailed case information, and it can be printed or saved for your records. So I think you'll really like this new search application and you'll find it very helpful and easy to use. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, Ms. Dardell. That was very informative, and I am also excited about the fact that we will now be able to permit individuals to search criminal data. Next, we have our General Counsel, Ms. Kelly Smeltzer, who will talk to you about how you will receive e-notices. Now, e-notices are not e-service. I noticed some of you put information in concerning e-service. That's something, those rules are what the Supreme Court has indicated they are. And that's when you serve, of course, between each other. What we're going to talk about today and what the clerk's office has responsibility for is notifying you of the case management status dates. And so we are being permitted, many of you receive your case management status dates electronically now as attorneys. Now we are also going to be electronically notifying pro se's. There have been some changes to Supreme Court Rule 11 and 131, and Ms. Kelly Smeltzer, our General Counsel, will explain those to you at this time. Ms. Smeltzer.
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Good afternoon. On July 15, 2020, the Illinois Supreme Court amended Supreme Court Rules 11 and 131. These amendments, which Sam had alluded to earlier, are effective immediately, and it makes it easier to notify and serve both attorneys and self-represented litigants in pleadings and documents filed with the court. Rule 11B was amended to include self-represented litigants in the email requirement for pleadings filed with the court. Previously, it read, an attorney must include on the appearance and all pleadings filed in court an email address to which documents and notices will be served in conformance with Rule 131D. The rule has now been amended to include language. A self-represented litigant who has an email address must also include the email address on the appearance and on all pleadings filed in the court to which documents and notices will be served in conformance with Rule 131D. The Illinois Supreme Court also provided committee comments from the Conference of Chief Judges on the amendments to this rule, and that is also located here. When a self-represented litigant has provided an email address to the court pursuant to subparagraph B, courts retain discretion to determine if an alternative method of service of documents or notices, either in addition to or instead of email, is needed. In addition, we wanted to include the Supreme Court's comment in the December 2012 amendment, which allows for service of documents electronically. On the next slide, July 15, 2020, the Supreme Court amended Rule 131 to expand the email address requirement to self-represented litigants in the service of electronically filed documents. Previously, the rule required all documents filed or served in any cause by an attorney upon another party shall bear the attorney's name, business address, email address, and telephone number. The attorney must designate a primary email address and may designate no more than 2 secondary email addresses. Self-represented litigants. All documents filed or served in any cause by a self-represented litigant upon another party shall bear the self-represented litigant's mailing address and telephone number. Additionally, a self-represented litigant who has an email address must designate a single email address to which service may be directed under Rule 11. Self-represented litigant does not designate an email address, then service upon and by that party must be made by a method specified in Rule 11, email transmission. As we stated earlier, this rule, as well as Rule 11, was amended to include self-represented litigants. These rules, working in concert, will make it easier to notify and serve self-represented litigants electronically in documents filed with the court. Thank you. Back over to Clerk Brown.
Thank you, Kelly, so much for that presentation concerning e-notices. I would also like to just give you, we want to open it up now for questions and answers. Of course, many of you have been asking questions throughout, and I'm going to look at some of those questions that you have presented here and see, and we're going to try to answer anything that we have not answered already. And then if there are any left, we will, of course, I'll be sending the additional answers out. Okay, someone wants to know, if you cannot make a court date and you file a new motion to get a new date, is there any way to strike the bad court date on the system? Sue, I think that's probably you. How will that work in Odyssey for the date that was, someone else asked about the date that's automatically generated if you file a motion for a new date?
So the Odyssey system doesn't auto strike a date, so I would actually have to defer to Best to answer that question. They can file a motion to schedule a new date. I am not sure how probate would like them to strike that original date.
No. What happens if they do a date and want a sooner date? When they appear in court, so the judge will give an order to strike the other date.
Okay, so they would have to appear that first date, or have someone to appear for them?
Yeah, they will have to have some. Yeah, if they do that, if they need it sooner, the system gives them a date that is further, but they'll do a motion and get a sooner date. When they come to the sooner date, then they have to let the judge know, then the judge will strike the other date.
Okay, also, but what if they ask for a later date and they want to strike the earlier date? Would they have to send someone to court to strike that date?
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. If they want a further date, so the date that they got is not a good date, but they want to go ahead and choose another date. So yes, they will file a motion, go before the judge, they'll get a sooner date to add. And at that time, when they're in the court, they should put on their order, strike the date, the other date, right? Date that's already out there, sitting out there.
Okay, but for Odyssey, they're going to be filing a motion for, and let me just ask the question that I think that the person will want to know. In Odyssey, Sue just talked about auto-generating dates, and a lot of people were asking, well, what if I don't like that auto-generated date? Are you suggesting that when they file that motion, they also request, put on that motion, please strike the previous date?
Yes.
And so if they put it on that motion, then the clerk's office will then, or whoever does the acceptance, or the data entry operator will then strike that date, or
no,
when they go to, yes.
When they go to court, that's when they will strike the older date. So because once they put in the date, we don't have the right to take the date out.
Yes. Okay.
Right. So when they come to, right.
Let me clarify. If a person asks for a later date, that means the date that they do not want is going to come up before the later date. So will someone have to go to court and say, please strike this date, I asked for a later date?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. But it works better if you're asking for an earlier date, because you can actually strike the later date.
Yes, because even currently they do it a lot. Because sometimes people do for disabled case and get a 35 days, and then they need emergency hearing. So with emergency hearing, then they can come in. If they get what exactly, if it is granted, then the judge will give them the order to strike the later date.
Okay, great.
Right.
Okay, so now, because there are quite a few questions on probate, I'm going to ask our assistant chief to also unmute herself and show her video so that she can help to answer some of these. Okay.
All right, bye-bye, girl.
Now let's see, they're asking, now, Sue, let me ask you this question, and I think Christian and maybe probate probably knows this as well. We have these auto-generated dates for a lot. Is that the way it's working now? Is that something that the presiding judge has chosen to do?
No, currently now, the only one that does auto-generate is a disabled case. The decedent case doesn't, but what happened, a lot of customers were complaining that once they file a new case, they have to go into request a date. And sometimes they do forget, they do think once they file it, just like they do in civil division, they have to get auto date. And then there have been a lot of complaints to the presiding judge and to other judges. That's why the judge wanted to do it, because then that's why the judge gave the date. Say if they have a new date, filing a new decedent case, they must get a date between 30 to 35 days. And then for a minor case, it has to be 45 days. And for minor estate, it has to be 14 days. And for structured settlement, it has to be 14 days. So they looked at the legal They looked at what is required by law, and then the judge wanted us to put it in so the people don't have to go in and then go back in and get a court date. And other complaint they complain is that once they file and go back in to file a motion to get a new, they get charged on it for the second time. So in order to eliminate the charge, and that's why the judge said it's better for us to do just eliminate the complaint and people getting charged twice.
Okay, so filing a motion for the new date, or in some motions, there is a cost.
That's a cost.
So this is being programmed in Odyssey based upon the direction of the presiding judge. Is that correct?
Yes, based on the presiding judge and the statute, what is required by statute, the
Okay,
date.
very good. So a lot of questions were related to that. Okay, some of these items that are specifically related to certain types of cases, we're going to defer those to the chief and assistant chief to answer later. But here's one. It says related to, and this is in general, if you, and this is e-filing in general, I believe, because they're asking whether or not if you file something confidentially, and for instance, physician statements and that sort of thing, is there something more that you need to do in order for it to continue to be sealed? And I think this is in general as it relates to e-filing. And so anybody can answer that one related to filing confidential documents.
I'll be happy to take that. So in most areas of law, you do need to have a judicial order before you can file confidentially or under seal. However, there is a statute in probate that the physician's reports can be filed under seal without an order. So they do not need to do anything additional for those. Those can be filed under seal pursuant to a statute that is pertaining just to probate division.
Right.
Okay.
And in order for me to add to that, in disabled cases, sometimes they have to do financial disclosure. And then with doing a financial disclosure, it has to be filed because in that case, it has their bank account, the social security, and the address. So it must be filed under seal. And that is.
Okay, and does it remain under seal, or would they have to get a judge's order? Because is there a statute that puts that under seal, or would they have to get a judge's order to keep it under seal?
It remains under seal.
Okay.
It even remains under seal through the appeal as well. So we need a judicial order allowing us to include a sealed document for an appeal, but in this case we do not because of that standing statute for probate division.
Okay, so physicians and for financial matters, you can file under seal.
Financial,
under seal.
Right.
Okay, but in general for e-filing, I do know that there is a confidential function. There is some confidential functionality on e-filing, and a person can select that for something that is not statutorily under seal. If you select that, you will have to come to court to get a judge's order for that to remain under seal. Okay. Let me see. Okay, someone is asking about accepting and it taking, will it be more efficient with this system in accepting filings? Actually, it has a lot to do with the availability of staffing. This Odyssey Case Management System will still have to have an accept and reject function, and that is when the clerk's office performs the various rules, review the documentation based upon the Supreme Court rules. So there is no change as it relates to that. Okay, someone is asking, they said, reading through the Q&A, and I think we've answered this. It seems that many people, including me, are confused as to how to request a new case management hearing date. Are there any plans to provide training using the live system rather than just screenshots to walk through some of these scenarios? I think that would be more helpful. I believe, is there going to be a webinar of some sort regarding this, Sue?
I believe we can do a webinar for that and place it on our website. Absolutely. I've also created some some more detailed screenshot kind of quick reference guides that we can provide to probate to provide to litigants and attorneys. But yes, I do think a webinar would be a good idea for this.
Okay, thank you for that question. A webinar, we will look to create webinars that will explain how this new case management, how the new hearings will be done. Okay, someone's asking about calling probate and not getting an answer. Let me just say this. During this pandemic, we have had a lot of people to be off for various and sundry reasons, or all of the above reasons. So there is a very limited number of staff, not just in probate, but in all of our divisions. What we proposed, and we have on our website, several different ways for you to contact the probate division and all of the other divisions. You can contact them via the email address that we have on there. There are also phone numbers there where you can actually text a request in, specifically for court dates, but if you need to text in for something else, then they will just pass that on to someone. So I would propose and urge you to use those different ways of getting in touch with probate, because there is a lot of short staffing throughout, not just probate, but get in touch with the clerk's office in general, because we do have a lot of we are very short staffed because many people are having issues with the pandemic. Okay, the next one relates to letters of office, and I'm going to have that one to have the probate division to answer that later. So they want to know, will the new system allow us to select a date prior to filing a notice of motion so that when we file the notice of motion, the document has the date already typed in? It seems silly to file a document without a date and then have to refile it when the system assigns the date, and even more silly to have to file a motion to get a new date. Did you understand that?
I did understand the question. You can file a blank notice of motion. We do have the tokens. We do have a token for the date and time that you select. Unfortunately, it is selected at the end of the filing after you click submit, so you do not know the date before you upload your document. But we can place a token that contains the date and time that you selected on your notice of motion so that you don't have to refile it. You would get a file stamped copy back that contains that date and time.
And so what she means by token is that we can place it, right, Sue? We will place it on the document.
Correct.
For you.
Correct. So that when you, the same way you saw it sort of in the upper right corner, we can move that pretty much to anywhere. So it could be on the notice of motion so that you don't have to make a subsequent filing just to get a notice of motion with the date on it.
And I think that's the way it was set up before, but with Odyssey, this is going to be the change.
Correct.
I think what they're talking about, you're absolutely right. That's how it used to be. You had to do all of that filing, get your date, then refile. But now with this new Odyssey Case Management System, and it really integrates with the e-filing system a lot better. The e-filing system currently is integrating with our old legacy system, and it was just, it took a lot of work to get it to integrate with our old legacy system, but the Odyssey system is more compatible with eFile Illinois. eFile Illinois is the File and Serve is a Tyler technology system, and so is Odyssey, so they're more compatible. What is the process of presenting and obtaining an order in a Zoom meeting? So when you all want to explain that when I think they're emailing their orders to the judge. either one of you.
So yes, okay.
Yes.
So what's happening is that they are emailing their orders to the judges via their email address. And if they do not have the email address or the Zoom login information, they can go to the Chief Judge's website or our website and get the general order in order to receive all the various informations for all of the judges that we have in the Probate Division.
Okay. And then once the hearing is over, the order is emailed out to them, and sometimes that's by us or by the coordinator who is emailing the orders out for probate. Beth.
It's the clerk of in that courtroom. Email said today, right? But what I wanted to add, but please, when you do your order, make sure you put in the email address that you want them to email it to, because if you don't put the email address, that will delay it. So, and that way we'll be forced either to send it to you via mail, and then that would delay if you need an emergency, but please. And again, the second part of it is that because we have had the tendency sometimes, once the judge makes a ruling, it takes the attorney sometimes a day or two to send the order. So when you delay in sending the order and then you come back and say you need a copy of the order, then the date changes. So we don't know the date the hearing was done, because once the clerk finishes, they always have they open a save, make up a new link whereby they put it the completed depending on the date. So it's very important, once you finish the hearing, you have to send the order the next day to the judge. So in that way, the clerk will send it back to you on time.
Really, we want you to send it the same day.
Right,
to the judge.
Send it the same day, please.
Thank you. I want you to send it the same day to the judge, and then the clerk in the courtroom is responsible for emailing the order out to you if it is a Zoom hearing. Okay, we have 4 minutes left. Let's just see what other questions. Most of these are related to the auto generating.
Clerk Brown?
Yes, Mr. Wimberly?
You may want to mention the availability of documents via Research Illinois, because there were a number of questions about Research Illinois.
Oh, thank you, Craig. Thank you. Yes, a lot of people were asking, when can I get a copy of, have access to the images through our search engine on our website that Ms. Dardell talked about. Well, we are working with the Illinois Supreme Court on a system called Research Illinois, and in that you will be able to get access to images for all of the clerks of courts throughout the state of Illinois. And yes, there will be a cost for that. It will be the regular copy cost for that. And so that is how you're going to get access to images of other court cases. Now, and even cases that you're not an attorney for. But the Supreme Court is making the decision as to who gets access and when. And so that we are one of their testers, and that system is supposed to be going into place later on in the year. Now, another question someone was asking, and I wanted to make the distinction between e-filing and what we're talking about, which is the Odyssey Case Management System, because I noticed that people were saying some questions that it appears there's some confusion. There are two different systems. The e-filing system that you're using now, there's not going to be a lot of change to it other than those changes that Sue presented to you early on. This is the case management system, which is a repository of all of our images and all the docket entries that for the clerk of the circuit court. Each clerk of court within the state of Illinois has its own case management system. The e-filing system that's on the front of that is the only thing that's common for all of us. So I need you to understand how that works. Someone also asked about courtesy copies and whether or not there's a courtesy copy box within, can a person put a courtesy copy into a box in e-file Illinois and then have the clerk to then send that to the judge. Now, the judge requires courtesy, some judges requires you to email them a courtesy copy. Actually, the documents that we receive via e-filing is in Odyssey Navigator, and judges actually have access to those. But if a judge is asking for a courtesy copy, then you will have to email him that courtesy copy. I am not familiar with a courtesy copy function that is in eFile Illinois, and I'm not sure if Craig or Sue or Kristen, you're familiar with a courtesy copy box.
So there is a courtesy copy field where you could place an email address to send a courtesy copy of your filing. I don't know if that is acceptable for sending courtesy copies to a judge. I would have to defer to probate court operations.
No,
There's a courtesy copy field in eFile Illinois.
So here's what I'm going to say. At one point or another, it was working. We'd have to verify that it is indeed still working, but you can put in the courtesy copy box, you can put an email address and it works. Like I said, I would have to verify that by testing it again, because like I said, once before it did work.
Yeah. You want to add something to that, Beth?
Right. In addition to what Talita said, but currently the way they send in the courtesy copy to the judges, they send it to the judges' email addresses. That's what the judges gave them, their email address. So if they need a copy to send it to them, the only thing they send to us in mail is when they send in a bond insurance for the decedent case. Then they send that, they make a copy, and then e-file that one, and then send the original copy to the judge via us. So the courtesy copy, they send it directly to the judge's email address.
Okay, but going with that email, if they in the courtesy copy section of the e-file system where they are able to put an email address, is that email address for where they would like a copy to go to? Is that how that worked, Talitha?
Yes, Clerk Brown.
Okay, all right. And so, so if that functionality is working properly, if they put the judge's email address there, then a copy would be emailed to the judge, is what I guess the question that they're asking, which is a functionality that we can double check to see if that function is still working. But you would obviously have to make sure that you had the judge's email address and put it there.
Yes.
Okay. What is Research Illinois? It's Research Illinois. Someone wants to know what is Illinois Research. It's actually R-E, lowercase r, lowercase e, uppercase S, search, uppercase I-L, Research Illinois. That is a new system that the Illinois Supreme Court is creating to permit attorneys and eventually pro se's to obtain images of documents that have been filed with the clerks of courts throughout the state of Illinois. And Cook County is participating in the testing of that system. And each clerk, if you request documents from a particular clerk, then the copy fee that you pay will then be sent to that particular clerk. So yes, that is a new system that the Supreme Court is working on. Okay, so it's time for us to close out. And I think we answered the question concerning the annual accounting and financial disclosure, but let me just go on and talk to you all about how, give you the contact information. The contact information, you can call our general office number of 312-603-5030, or you can go on our website at cookcountyclerkofcourt.org. And then you have the information concerning the CLE. We're going to go to the next slide. If you are an attorney and you would like to receive the CLE for this webinar, you will receive, if you attended the entire hour, and I see we have over 400 people that did attend the entire hour, you will receive 1 hour of CLE for this training. When you registered, your name and email address and your ARDC number should have been included, and we will verify the timeliness of your attendance with the Zoom web report, and we will email. Our General Counsel's office is going to email you the certificate. So be very patient. I know there's some CLE that anyone that extended has until September 30th, but your registration can be utilized for the time being. The registration that you receive from us, but you will receive a certificate from us. We are doing a lot of these webinars, and we've had almost 1,000 people for some of them. And so it's taken us a little time to finalize the reviews, but you will receive your certificate. The next is the list of the webinars that are coming up for the other divisions, because we're going live with this new Odyssey Case Management System with all of our divisions. And we can go to the next slide, please. On Monday, August 24th, will be Domestic Relations Divisions. And then on Thursday, August 27th, will be the Civil Division. And then the following week will be the Law Division. And then the following Monday, and then Thursday will be, September 3rd will be Suburban Districts, all 5 suburban districts. We will have during the month of September, and we'll announce that date for the webinar for our traffic division, because we are going to go live with a new case management system for our traffic division as well. This is an exciting time. It's 40 years in the making. And we will be putting this in, and I'm just excited about being able to cap off my administration, my 20 years of service, by leaving a legacy of a new case management system for the office of the Clerk of the Circuit Court. And so we're going, at the end of this webinar, this PowerPoint, and we will be emailing this to all of you. You will see the bios for each of our panelists, and I want to thank each of them for their presentations today. And thank you all for attending, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Clerk Brown.